Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome everyone to today's explainer. You know, if you've been relying on traditional methods, kind of just crossing your fingers and hoping your bees decide to stay put this season, well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're completely resetting the stage. We're going to transition your mindset away from reactive, amateur guesswork and move you straight into professional swarm prevention. We're going to transform you into a precision operator, someone who actively manages the biological energy of the entire apiary. So I want you to imagine this scenario. We've all been there, right? You've got a hive that is literally bursting with bees. There's an amazing honey flow going on, your queen is laying like an absolute machine. Honestly, looking at it, everything seems completely perfect. And then, boom. You wake up one morning, you stroll out to the apiary, and half your bees are just gone. And it's not just any bees, right? It's your best bees. The ones with the strongest energy completely vanished into the trees, leaving you staring at empty frames. Now, the immediate knee-jerk reaction is to ask, how do I stop a swarm? But actually, scratch that. The real question you need to be asking is, why did your colony enter the swarming impulse in the first place? Was there a biological imbalance? Did the queen lose pheromonal control? Were you late with adding space by just a single day? And this brings us to a massive divide in the beekeeping world. See, when many amateur beekeepers spot queen cells, they absolutely panic. Their immediate reaction is to grab their hive tool and frantically start cutting those cells out, thinking, okay, phew, solve the problem. But a professional operator, they act more like a precision surgeon. A pro knows that cutting queen cells is a fatal mistake because you're really just fighting the final consequence. When a professional looks at a queen cell, they see the very end of a biological process that actually started weeks ago. They read those early signs long before a cell is ever drawn out.
So, to get you up to that professional level, here is our clinical table of contents for today. We'll be going over number 1, the swarming illusion, number 2, the biology behind the pressure, number 3, key steps for prevention, and finally number 4, the precision system.
Starting with Section 1, the swarming illusion. This is where we shift from reaction to prevention. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is
That in beekeeping, if you're relying on visible signs, like a capped swarm cell, it means you are already way too late. Reaction is literally the enemy of yield. I want you to really let this quote on the screen sink in. Bees do not swarm because queen cells exist. Queen cells exist because the colony has already entered deep into the swarming mechanism. This absolutely debunks the myth that cutting cells fixes the core problem. By the time those cells are physically built, the underlying biological balance of that hive has already been shattered. You aren't stopping a swarm by destroying a cell. You are really just temporarily frustrating a colony that is already biologically committed to leaving.
Okay, let's move right into Section 2, the biology behind the pressure, where we look at the actual triggers of the swarming algorithm.
At the very center of this biological algorithm is a foundational concept you absolutely must memorize: biological pressure. It's defined as the dangerous buildup of energy inside a hive, which is caused by a disrupted balance that the queen's pheromones can simply no longer control. Professional beekeeping isn't just about harvesting honey, guys. It is fundamentally about energy management. A massive, incredibly strong colony that lacks proper energy management is, for all intents and purposes, a ticking time bomb. So, what actually builds this pressure? Well, here are the 3 unseen triggers that kickstart that swarming mechanism weeks before you'd ever spot a queen cell. First, unemployed young bees. Second, brood nest congestion. And third, the loss of pheromonal control. Let's break these down one by one because identifying these early signs is absolutely the hallmark of a pro.
So the crucial point is this: unemployed young bees are hands down the most dangerous energy source inside your hive. Young nurse bees are biologically programmed to produce royal jelly, right? But think about what happens when you have this massive explosion of young bees and simply not enough open brood for them to feed that jelly to. Their internal glands literally become engorged. That physical discomfort, coupled with all that excess energy, transforms straight into the swarming impulse. They become this unemployed, restless mass that actively starts searching for a new queen and new space. Now, our second trigger is brood nest congestion. Picture an excellent nectar flow. The foragers are bringing in nectar so incredibly fast that they just start stashing it right in the middle of the brood nest. Suddenly, the cells are physically blocked. Your queen is wandering around like a machine ready to lay eggs, but she has absolutely nowhere to put them. Because her egg-laying stops, her vital pheromonal signal drops off. The hive's biological algorithm registers this physical blockage, and boom, the swarming mechanism activates.
This is exactly why adding your honey supers before the main flow peaks rather than during it is absolutely critical to avoid backfilling. Timely expansion is everything.
And that leads us directly into the third trigger, the loss of pheromonal control. The queen commands her colony through pheromones, which are physically passed from bee to bee. But in a massively overcrowded, congested hive, she just physically cannot distribute her pheromones to everyone. The hive's intercommunication system breaks down. The very second the bees on the far outer edges no longer sense her presence, they automatically assume the queen is failing and they instantly begin constructing queen cells. So maintaining unbroken pheromonal distribution through proper spacing is your absolute first line of defense.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 3, Key Steps for Prevention. These are your precision operator's tasks.
Here are your concrete operational steps to stop that swarming impulse before it even begins. Number 1, space management. Are you expanding precisely on time? For example, adding a drawn comb super a full week before the nectar flow hits prevents brood nest congestion entirely. Even a 48-hour delay here can ruin your season. Number 2, active ventilation to relieve internal pressure. This means explicitly doing things like opening screen bottom boards or propping the outer cover up slightly to create an updraft, actively cooling the hive to reduce humidity and temperature. Number 3, balancing the age structure. You need to track your demographics. If you observe a massive spike in newly emerged bees, give them foundation frames to draw out. This one concrete action redirects their wax-building energy, ensuring every single bee has a job, rather than letting them become a swarming liability.
Which takes us right into Section 4, the precision system and building your foundational knowledge.
Because to execute these preventative steps, you have to follow a complete system. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact learning path you need. Phase 1 is colony biology and behavior. Phase 2 is apiary microclimate. Phase 3 is hive engineering. And Phase 4 is advanced management. Listen, these preventative measures only work if you follow the entire biological series. If you try to stop a swarm without understanding the microclimate or hive engineering from the earlier phases, the puzzle just isn't going to fit together. You cannot solve swarming by treating the symptoms. You literally have to manage the underlying ecosystem.
Now, I want to hear from you. Seriously, we've all been there, and we learn the most from each other's mistakes. So what was your absolute biggest swarming disaster? Have you ever confidently walked away from a hive thinking, yep, I successfully prevented that swarm, only to be literally chasing them through the trees the very next day? Let's build some community here. Drop your stories and experiences down in the comments so we can all learn from them.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Swarming is a natural biological urge, for sure, but for the professional operator, it is a sign of lost control. The system is what wins. And speaking of systems, what we have coming up next changes absolutely everything. Our next deep dive explainer is on the Snelgrove method, precision beekeeping and flight control. It is without a doubt one of the most precise systems ever created for complete control of forager bees and colony pressure. I promise you, you will never look at swarming the same way again. If you thought cutting queen cells was beekeeping, just wait until you learn how to actively manipulate flight paths. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next explainer.